So it's been a little bit over a year since I held this annual public forum on the state of Duke Medicine. And today I'd like to have a chance to review with you how we, Duke Medicine, are doing and discuss some of the opportunities and challenges that lie ahead for us. So I want to begin by telling you that in my recent travels, I hear this remarkable buzz about Duke Medicine. The scientists, the educators, the clinicians I meet around the country, and for that matter, around the world, kept on saying, gee, what's going on in Duke? They hear great things are happening at Duke, and they become even more interested in Duke than ever before. I'm even asked, what's going on with the football team? But I can't take credit for it, neither can you, but I can brag about all the things you guys are doing. So if you permit me, I'll spend a few minutes bragging about this. So first, academic side. Schools of medicine and nursing continue to be recognized really for their excellence and innovation. The School of Medicine under the not-so-new Dean of Medicine, Nancy Andrews, in the first year, is considered, of course, one of the best, among the very best in the world in every aspect of the academic mission. You know they continue to be ranked, highly ranked among the top schools in U.S. News and World Report. And just 2 weeks ago, the LCME committee accreditation site visit team was here and spent about 3-4 days here, and they were very impressed. In fact, Broadhead and I had a chance to meet with them, and they gave very high marks for the excellence of the school's medical curriculum, the leadership, and the student and faculty development and innovation. And in the words of the leader of the site visit team, and I quote, the school's flourishing. And these were his words. So I think it's truly impressive. And of course, School of Nursing under Dean Gillis' leadership has blossomed into truly one of the outstanding schools of nursing in the country. It's jumped from 29th in 2004 ranking to 15th in 2007. The number of students have grown 25% under her leadership in 4 years, and the faculty grown by 40%. And it's offering now advanced degree like PhD, but this year, the new Doctor of Nursing practice, which is very innovative, among the first in the country. Very impressive. You know that in research we're doing well, and at least in 1990s, when we have the last vetted data from NIH, which was last year, or the year reflecting year before, 1996, we were number 2 in NIH funding, because we know these things do fluctuate. So I think the message is you are doing very well indeed by peer review. And of course, these funds from NIH support and research, enable our scientists to be innovative, to advance science, to support trainees, the next generation of scientific and health care leaders. So I'm really proud of many of the recognitions that our basic and clinical scientists, and for that matter, the entire research community have earned, and the important contributions they're making to science and medicine. On the clinical side, for 19th year in a row, Duke University Hospital is named among the top 10 U.S. hospitals by the same report. And I should point out to you, it's the only hospital in North Carolina on the south that's ranked in the top 10. Duke Raleigh Hospital is named one of the top best places to work in healthcare by the Modern Healthcare magazine, and also Durham Regional is known for its commitment to excellence and its community service. In fact, it continues to be described by the citizens of Durham as their hospital. And because we're most proud of our staff and our faculty, because our faculty generate these great buzz and interest at Duke Medicine, whether it's Alan Friedman and his team for the outstanding care for Senator Kennedy, or Louise Mackert and her pioneering thymus transplant procedure for DiGeorge syndrome, or Joanne Kurtzberg, who I see is here for her work in cord blood transplantation. This is really a source of great admiration for everyone. Our translational research under Rob Cayley's leadership, the researchers I consider the best in class. And of course, on the basic science side, I think there's just so many impressive successes and advancement, and they recognize in so many different ways. I think as reflected in Bob Lefkowitz receiving the National Medal of Science from U.S. President, and our success in recruiting bright young scientists like Dr. Che Koo, who joined us 6 months ago, and he's already won some major awards, and really a brilliant scientist. And people are saying, wow, this is really great. Great recruitment, great senior scientists, great young people. It's truly very impressive. And so these are really only a few of the literally hundreds of faculty achievements over the past year, and I wish I had time to tell you all, but as you know, it will take a long time. But I would be remiss if I didn't highlight the selfless efforts of our employees throughout Duke Medicine in their daily work and in their support of the local and global communities. Their efforts are contributing to this general agreement out there that Duke really cares. And I think it is really the great work for our community, for our patients, and the people we serve. I witnessed this passion the employees when I co-chaired the Duke Medicine Triangle Heart Walk, the American Heart Association Triangle Heart Walk. And people were out there. There were over several hundred people from Duke out there, raised a lot of money, and they spent both their own time in terms of physical activity and philanthropy. And a week or two before that, Dr. Fulkerson competed with the heart people by having an asthma walk, and people come out in droves. And of course, this is only a small reflection of all the internal competition to see who's going to do more for our community. But on the global side, Dr. Michael Hagelin led, as you know, very impressive work in neurological teams in Uganda, in which he started an ICU, and a lot of stories that I can tell you about, which I won't have time. And Dr. Holly Mayer, who participates in a team that worked in Ghana to reduce maternal and neonatal mortality. There are really many, many others. So Duke Medicine is becoming a very hot topic internationally because people are intrigued by our efforts and our success in bringing our expertise in education and research and clinical expertise to globalize and our commitment to translational research everywhere. A successful partnership in Singapore under the leadership of Sandy Williams and, of course, now Ranga Krishnan, including this Duke National University School of Medicine, Graduate School of Medicine. It's moving into the second phase now. Ralph, thank you. You started this initiative, and they are very excited about extending our relationship for a long time. The word maybe as long as 2025. So I think this is in contrast to other people's experience. And the brand new Singapore Clinical Research Institute, which is a partnership between DCRI and the Singapore Ministry of Health. And this is really turning heads all over the world. And global health, of course, under Mike Merson's leadership, has created many opportunities for all our mission and research, education, patient care, and service to society. So I'm profoundly honored to be part of such an outstanding team of people. I'm truly grateful to you for all that you do for science, for our trainees, for our patients, for our community, and I thank all of you for making Duke Medicine what it is today. So if I can give you a round of applause, thank you. So, good news. Now, our success, of course, is somewhat disconnected to what's the foremost on many people's mind today and in recent weeks, because I'm talking about the current financial crisis that's led to one of the most turbulent times in the country's, for that, the world's history. And so my senior leadership team, many of them are here today, and I truly appreciate them present, and I am acutely aware of the angst that many of you are feeling in these very challenging times. So I'd like to take the next 20 minutes or so to address these conditions and concerns the best I can. I'd like to talk about three things, and I believe that there's a slide up there. There we go. Okay. First, our position in current financial environment. Second, how we are proactively managing through this situation from a position of strength. And third, the priorities coming year to continue to lead the organization forward. So first, what is our current position in this financial crisis? Well, fundamentally, we are in a position of strength. We're strong in position as any major medical center in the country. However, that doesn't mean, of course, that we're unaffected or that we can continue to operate as business as usual. The fact is, this is a very serious situation, and it will demand a high level of leadership, organizational focus, determination, and teamwork involving all of you, and if we are to navigate through this successfully. Not surprisingly, Duke Medicine, like virtually every organization across the country, is being negatively affected by the current situation. The economic downturn has impacted the health system's investment, for example, and has reduced our balance sheet, or our reserve, as we say it, and so it's negatively affected some of our borrowing rates and therefore loan payments. In fact, the increase in some loan payments have been staggering. And under the leadership of our CFO, Ken Morris, we've been working hard to address this, and right now I think we're in a very good shape in the sense that we're able to get most of the loans, practically all, into a much lower interest rate and away from a put situation. So I think that we are well here, except they gave us a little bit of heartburn. In the last 3 months, especially last month, we have experienced palpable softening of surgical and inpatient volumes. Overall, in this period, we are seeing declines in admissions, procedures, and operations. It's not dramatic, but it's there. And I know Bill Fulkerson and team are monitoring this very closely. The patient volumes in this so-called cash and carry business, if you will, those are not covered by insurance, but by out-of-pocket payments. They're the ones which are most affected, like LASIK surgery, cosmetic surgery, integrated medicine, and we begin to see drop in some of those areas. So that's the health system. Fundamentally, a smaller reserve balance sheet, because as you know, the overall DUMEC investment lost a lot of points, maybe 15 or more. And therefore, we have a smaller balance sheet. Also, the interest rate have gone up, at least transiently in a period of time. But otherwise, we're seeing volume softening. But we still, I think we're doing very well, and I'll come back to that. For the schools, the impact has been felt primarily in the decreased values of the endowment and quasi-endowment and NIH funding. The school medicine, as you know, is dependent on research funding for about 65% of its operating budget, the majority from NIH. Another 10% is from payouts of these endowments and investment, and then over 10% from philanthropy. With reduction in endowment values, there will be an impact on the payout and therefore the operating budget. All of us know that NIH budget is flat. In fact, if you're talking about buying power, it's declining. And currently it's funding only about 90% of its approved budget. And in fact, as you know, the budget is on continued resolution. So the problem is the fact that the School of Medicine had projected 3% increase in NIH funding this year, but now instead I anticipate less than 1% increase. So this is obviously causing a budget challenge. Unfortunately, no relief is in sight for NIH funding. At least I can see that I can see in the foreseeable future. It's likely to be flat at best for the next several years. And of course, the jury is out on what the impact of the current situation will have on philanthropy. We don't know yet. In the School of Nursing, the exposure from the decreased NIH funding is not extensive. However, there are real concerns related to tuition. School of Nursing is highly dependent on tuition, and the question, of course, is what is the impact of the current situation on the ability of students to pay tuition. And of course, endowment payouts are also very important for them. So the school has seen the loss of value in this endowment, quasi-endowment over the last several months. Now, if there was a silver lining to our economic situation within Duke Medicine, it's the fact that the main source of income for Duke University Health System, at least, comes from the reimbursement of services from private and government insurers. That appears reasonably stable, at least for the time being. We have recently, as you know, extended our contracts, and that's the good news, with many of our major managed care payers, including Blue Cross Blue Shield, at least for the next 3 years. And that ensures the majority of our patients. So I think that's good. But having said that, we are anticipating significant cutbacks in Medicare and Medicaid reimbursement this coming year and in the future, given the condition of the economy and the fact that we will have a new administration arriving next year, and tomorrow we'll know who's going to lead this country. So while day-to-day fluctuations, the market roller coaster, we are insulated from, we are concerned that in the long run, we're going to see a tremendous amount of downward pressure on the health system moving forward. So in preparing for these challenging times, I've had many long conversations with the senior leadership teams, the schools, the health system, with our board, and our faculty leadership. I think it's fair to say that we're resolved and fully convinced that to ensure our future success, we must keep moving forward our strategic objectives. I believe that in times like these, we must show leadership and character, and we need to be vigilant in work efficiency and expense control to become what I call lean, mean machine, and at the same time, to be bold in investing in critical and crucial opportunities. So now, the good news is over the years of the health system and schools have really carefully managed their assets and resourced such a way that have allowed us to adapt to significant economic pressures, such as what we're experiencing today. While our balance sheets of the health system and schools have been negatively affected, they are still very strong. Thus, I believe we are in a position from which we can adapt to emerging pressures and accomplish the goals for the good of Duke Medicine and for all of you. So the question is, how are we managing through this situation? Well, I'm really blessed with an excellent management team and leadership team in place. And I'm proud of many of the decisions that my executive team has made, actually prior to all this, in recent months, and also in the last few years. They're now proving to be very wise. For example, decision to transfer $280 million 2 years ago from the Health School of Medicine. This was my commitment and the board's commitment to provide long-term stable support for the academic enterprise. Now, it's gone up in value quite a bit because we had lost value again, but we're still ahead. And even though we can now spend the money exactly the way that Nancy or Sandy planned, but it does provide you a secure base for financial base for the academic enterprise. Now imagine if the health system is still funding the school on a year-to-year basis, depending on the financial performance, which was the original agreement. I think it would be very hard-pressed to imagine that we can sustain this kind of funding in the current environment. So looking back, this turns out to be an excellent move. Credit also goes to Bill Fulkerson and Ken Morris, who, in anticipation of reimbursement changes, in this summer, before this financial hit, initiated a major project to identify $50 million of margin improvement. And this would be achieved through improved efficiency, increased productivity, and expense savings. The good news is we are very close to achieving those goals. And this is, in fact, as I said, prior to having all this financial crisis. So initiating such a project before the storm hits has prepared us to make thoughtful decisions while preserving our core missions and our core operations. In hindsight, again, this was an excellent move. So I think we got a great team, and as you hear some of the actions taken by the schools and by health system, they really are great management, prudent management, augmented by some of these far-sighted decisions. And so all the actions we initiated are to protect our institution, position for continued growth, and prepare for changes in the environment. So the most important issue, of course, for us is to preserve our cash position. And we're now carefully re-examining our priorities on the planned capital expenditures and growth opportunities. But we remain absolutely committed to the wisdom of our strategic projects. Some of the less strategic capital projects may be slowed or postponed, but certainly we're going to move forward with many of our strategic projects. We will move forward with key recruitments, But we are implementing a process in the health system and in the schools to rigorously evaluate new hires, particularly those in non-strategic and non-clinical areas. As for key recruitments, we'll only pursue the very best, our first choice. And I know that Dean Andrews committed personally to review the quality of all the key hires. And likewise, Bill and Ken are doing the same for the health system. So I feel particularly good about this because we're not talking about freezing, we're talking about being prudent and particularly looking at critical hires. And there are other management issues which puts us in a position of strength rather than desperation. And again, they are optimized in order to protect us and put us in a position of strength. We are pushing forward with our strategic priorities. There will be those organizations which will choose to hunker down in these challenging times on the notion that it would be too risky to continue moving forward. My leadership believes that to be frozen by fear or indecision is a losing proposition. Standing still would ultimately mean falling back and losing ground, and we cannot afford to put ourselves in a position of playing catch-up many years from now. So, of course, the big projects, no doubt in your mind, for example, health system is the major expansion of the Duke University Hospital and the creation of a cancer center. These are very big ticket items. We decided we're going to continue to move forward on our planning for these projects as they're critical to our long-term success. The biggest single hurdle to health system growth is limiting operating rooms, critical care beds at Duke Hospital, and without hospital modernization expansion, the quality of our patient care could suffer, and our long-term growth would be significantly stunted. In addition, the creation of a cancer center is critical to our future. There are so many unmet needs in cancer care, so many important opportunities in cancer research. My leaders and I are committed to making the cancer program at Duke the very best in the world. So in this context, this week I'll be asking our board of directors later this week to approve our request to the state for a certificate of need for the new cancer center building. But I want to emphasize that we are moving forward with planning, and we closely monitor and evaluate the economic situation over the coming months as we reach the next phases of decision. So we're also moving forward with planning for a new learning center for the School of Medicine. This building will update our teaching facilities with state-of-the-art education methods and technologies critical to our academic mission. The good news is that we already have received a commitment of $35 million earlier this year from Duke Endowment, and that should represent a majority of the cost of this project. In addition, the School of Medicine has received approval in October from the University Board of Trustees to proceed with design work on a new biomedical research building on Research Drive. This is an important need for the school's future. However, Dean Andrews has prudently elected to hold for the moment the design process until we can more fully evaluate the impact of the current economic crisis. Having said all this, we'll continue to monitor the financial environment over the next 6 months as we plan for these strategic projects. It's worth noting that we will not reach a go now, go later decision point on the hospital or cancer center until the middle of next year, so that we are well positioned to give these projects thoughtful ongoing analysis and planning while assessing the trajectory of the economy. So I think that this represents the position we are right now with economically. I feel we're in a position of strength. I feel that we've got excellent management. And looking down the road, we're going to have to really be very vigilant, and we need to show leadership. And I'll come back to that to work together for our success. Now, I'd like to move on to my priorities coming year. So at a time when most of the daily news is doom and gloom, I remain optimistic about our future. And I see many areas that we'll be working in the coming year to move forward. As you know, I'm Chinese descendant, and maybe many of you don't know, but the Chinese word for crisis is made of two characters, danger and opportunity. I believe that if we do the right things, we can seize the opportunity to significantly strengthen our enterprise and while reducing the dangers. So what are my priorities? Well, one of the most important priorities coming here is to work with Dean Andrews and Senior Vice Chancellor Sandy Williams to develop a successful academic enterprise through the support of our outstanding academic faculty. There we go. In the School of Medicine, we find ourselves in an unprecedented period of leadership transition and therefore opportunity. In many departments within the school, we're seeing such a change. New chairs, plans are at least now being made, and some initiated for recruitment for new chairs in medicine, radiology, biochemistry, psychiatry, and molecular genetics and microbiology. And this provides a unique opportunity to add new creative leaders to our current excellent department leaders. One can say that the current environment could lead to recruitment options that might not have been possible before. We shall see. But certainly, in Dr. Dean Andrews' planning for the 10 years, we have already accounted for much of the dollars we needed to recruit these chairs. And then in the clinical chair recruitment, I know that the health system, through Bill Fulkerson's leadership, will be participating, partnering in providing resources and many of this recruitment. We will support faculty in their academic lives to assure their success. We will continue to provide bridge funding for NIH grant shortfall for our scientists on a competitive basis. And it has been pointed out that an important factor in research success is developing bright young people. Certainly, Drs. Andrews, Williams, and I are committed to doing this. A couple of years ago, as you know, I created the Science Council with Sally Kornbluth, who's here, and other people's help, Joanna Downer, which consists of grassroots researchers so they can advise leadership, particularly me, on the directions of needs of science at Duke. One of the highest priority that for them was to find support for the outstanding international students who cannot be funded by NIH grants. In response to requests, we created a Chancellor Scholarship for these students with a 2-year commitment of funding. Today, I'm pleased to announce that I will continue funding this for at least another 2 years, as a show of how supportive we are to an area that's important for our faculty. In recognition of our faculty as a key asset, I believe we have a great opportunity to renew our commitment to faculty development and facilitate their pursuit of all 3 missions of teaching, research, and clinical care. To this end, a comprehensive faculty leadership training program led by Vice Dean Gus Grant will be launched very shortly. This is done in cooperation with the Fuqua School in reintroducing many of the leadership programs for our faculty. And a major initiative involving many of you here and Duke Medicine leadership designed to actively address work-life issues for clinical faculty was just launched 2 weeks ago. And as you know, this summer, Dean Andrews, Dr. Fulkerson, Paul Newman, the chairs, Carl Ravens here, Mark Newman, and Mike Cuff, we met with over 100 of clinical faculty to find out about their issues. And we've promised them that we're going to work very hard in improving their work life. And we initiated and launched a steering committee with 3 subcommittees, one to address clinical operations, one to address the academic life, and the other one to address information technology. And there are many other areas of initiatives. So we'll be launching all these things going forward to address many of your concerns, and I'll come back to that later. And I know that similar opportunities for leadership and development exist in our nursing faculty, where Dean Gillis has really put together a very impressive administrative structure with people leading various parts of the enterprise and interested in looking at faculty development. The second point, in this coming year, we remain committed to Duke Medicine's mission of transforming medicine through innovation, research, education, and new models of care delivery. A major priority is towards achieving what I call a seamless continuum, which is seamless within Duke Medicine from discovery to translational sciences to care delivery to global and community health. In this context, we will continue to support our efforts in translation and global medicine. I'm confident that under Caleb's leadership, our translation research will make significant progress in advancing this concept of seamless continuum. Our activities in global health are doing good in many under-resourced regions of the world and that are in need of help. In addition, we are developing educational research initiatives that are important to our missions. The partnership nurtured in Singapore through the success of the graduate medical school have led to opportunities for our faculty with new research collaboration and new funding. At a time when research support is being squeezed in the US, these opportunities, I may say, are largely untapped resources, and we hope that people will see them as tremendous opportunity. The projects are really self-funded, and they don't take away any money from the campus here. Just want to make this clear. In fact, for our efforts, we receive additional flexible dollars that we have reinvested for activities at Duke and Durham here. I believe these global initiatives hold significant opportunities for our mission and international impact, and I will say more on our commitment to local community later in my remarks. Another very major priority for the organization is to push greater alignment of the school, the health system, and PDC to achieve what I call the power of one Duke medicine. So over the last several months, we have worked with the School of Medicine, the health system, PDC leadership to configure a management consortium that I believe will result in much improved alignment of our clinical enterprise. There's a couple of key moves. Dr. Bill Fulkerson, responsibility for health system clinical services, both inpatient and outpatient, as well as having a role together with Dean Andrews in overseeing coordinating clinical department budgets and clinical faculty affairs. We're now doing budgets together, PDC, the health system, and the School of Medicine. At the same time, PDC has named a full-time president, Dr. Carl Raven, who's here, whom I have great confidence. And he'll be able to devote all his efforts to improving PDC performance while seeking a greater alignment of faculty practice within the health system and the School of Medicine. I think over the years, the decentralized structure of clinical departments, the separate entities of PDC, health system, and the School of Medicine have inadvertently created silos and barriers to achieving what I call one Duke medicine. Nancy, Bill, Carl, and I are committed to breaking down these barriers to further alignment for the ultimate benefit of all parties. One early success story I'd like to tell you that shows that greater alignment and transparency can achieve this power of one and benefit everyone is the implementation of this new Duke Heart Center model this past summer. The Heart Center features a new faculty compensation model and governance structure that have thus far dramatically improved the performance of our cardiology service line. At a time when we're seeing signs of softening in other services, in other areas, in fact, we're seeing significant increase in cardiology volume and faculty work. And I think leadership credit has to go to Bill Fulkerson, and I see Howard Rockman here, and Chris O'Connor, and Marty Taylor, and others, to work out this structure, whereby the approach is very simple. A compensation plan by which the faculty understands that includes incentive for meeting or exceeding agreed-upon performance metrics. At the same time, we are increasing more academic support from health system to assure mission balance. Dean Andrews is always very quick and appropriately pointing out to us that we must remember the academic time and mission of our faculty. This project has the collaboration of all parties in a way that I've not seen previously. And I believe this model may be the way of the future. And we're working hard to replicate this approach within the multidisciplinary cancer center as well as other service lines in this coming year and years to come. On the health system side, a priority will be to continue our efforts for greater engagement in the triangle. We are looking forward to opening a new facility in Morrisville within the next few weeks, and another one in the fast-growing area of Knightdale in the March of 2009. Wake County continues to be critically important to our overall growth plans, and further developing this strategy will be a high priority. The last priority I mentioned is my unwavering commitment to seeking new and different ways to reach out to our community. Through the Department of Community and Family Medicine, Duke Medicine already operates community clinics in Lion Park and a couple of years ago in Wartown, and in Glen, Watts, and Poe elementary schools. Recently, we provided $500,000 gift to the city of Durham to build a third Duke neighborhood clinic that will be operated in northeast central Durham, operated by Duke. This is only one of a number of, what did I do? But we'll continue to support Lincoln Community Health Center, particularly for area of primary care, the Durham Emergency Medical Services program through our lease agreement for Durham Regional Hospital, and health system continues to provide funding to community outreach and to provide care to the uninsured and to community and to those who are in need of our help. Indeed, I'm particularly proud that this summer we launched Project Access, and this is with the commitment of our physicians in PDC, with the health system, together with partners in the community to provide specialty care for those who are uninsured. So if you look at the spectrum, I believe that we have primary care covered, at least for many people who are uninsured and who are in need in Durham, through Lincoln and the community clinics. And now we have specialty care covered through Project Access. And now we're working on, in fact, idea of a low-cost insurance product with the Chamber of Commerce for the small employers. So I think in a time when this economy is faltering and employment is rising, and therefore we expect an increase in number of uninsured, community support is more important than ever. And I believe that Duke Medicine have a special role in continuing to meet the healthcare needs of a community. And I'm proud of the selfless work that our employees do through their personal commitment, volunteerism, and their work every day. So let me finish by saying successful adaptation is in our DNA. And if you look back in the history of this place, 75 Young, through the leadership of Ann Lien and Dr. Snyderman, we've constantly adapted to a changing environment. I said in the earlier part of our work, this is one of the most turbulent times of American history. But we, like other academic centers across the country, are facing pressures, and that will require the very best of us, management, faculty, and staff, to successfully address. It will require a collective commitment to hard work, perseverance, and a renewed spirit of collaboration and camaraderie. We are already preparing to manage through this period of time proactively from a position of strength. Now, one of the best ways that you can deal with the angst of uncertainties and stress is to focus on what you do best, delivering the very best care for our patients, conducting the kind of research that Duke has become world-renowned, educating the next generation of leaders, and providing critical support for functions organization and the service of our community. You have the opportunity in your day-to-day work to identify ways and to inform us, to help us find ways that we can do better to be more efficient and more effective. I couldn't be more proud to be part of Duke Medicine and to count on all of you as colleagues. And I again say thank you for your continued excellent work and for making Duke Medicine synonymous with excellence worldwide. Thank you.